with him.
When was this other one taken?
Thank you all for coming today.
Maybe last year.
I know it would have meant a lot to Chuck to see all the smiling faces of his friends out here. I met Chuck the first time right on this spot, 14 years ago. I'd just gotten back into flying RC after about 25 years of being out of it. And I had a plane, I had a GWS Tiger Moth, and I didn't know where everybody was flying, so I would go over to Jan's in the afternoon and there's nobody else around. And I subscribed to a little publication, RC Micro World I think it was called. And Chuck's friend from AeroVironment, Matt Keenan, wrote an article in there almost every month. It was about small planes, you know, and electric RC was just kind of crude. And one of the articles, he mentioned his flying buddy Chuck Haverlaw in Thousand Oaks. And I didn't know anybody around here, so I called up Matt Keenan and I said, "Can you put me in touch with your friend Chuck, because I'm looking for somebody to fly with." And he said, "Well, I'll give Chuck your phone number." So the next day Chuck called me and we chatted for a while, and he told me that guys were flying here at Wildwood in the 7:30 in the morning. So the next day I pack up my plane and come out here and park, and there was a older gentleman flying a plane. And I walked up to him and I said, "Are you Chuck?" He said, "No, I'm Don Munding." A lot of you guys remember Don. He moved to Texas a few years ago. He said, "Chuck will be along." So Chuck showed up a little while later and we immediately hit it off. And that was the start of my friendship with Chuck. He's been my best friend for many years. He called me his brother, even though he had two other brothers. The best story about Chuck was a few years later, Chuck had a rare bear. Most of you remember that. He used to fly it low and slow. He was flying out here, and there was a young woman and an older couple, probably your parents, and they had a little dog. And Chuck was flying around low like he always did. The dog started chasing the plane. And I think the woman thought that, she was afraid he was going to get the plane, and that Chuck was trying to get away from the dog. Well, Chuck wasn't. He was teasing the dog. He'd come down and the dog would jump at it and he'd take off. And the woman started chasing the dog. So here's Chuck flying around, the dog chasing after the plane, and the woman chasing after the dog. And we're over here just roaring. She had no idea that Chuck was doing that on purpose. That's the way he was. Another story, over at Jan's, Chuck had this ducted fan F-18 that he loved. And he was flying it around. It was pretty fast. And he hit the very top of the light pole over there. And it was foam. It just exploded into little bits of foam. And we all had kind of a laugh over it. Chuck picks up all the little pieces of foam. 2 days later, he had that thing all glued back together. Glued, tape, blue tape everywhere. And he flew it many more times. A lot of good times with Chuck. He was the sweetest, kindest, most generous man. Anybody that had a question or a problem with a plane or electronics, Chuck was always there to help them out, fix things. He'd take things home and fix them for people, show them how to fix it. I miss him every day, and I always will. Anybody else like to say something?
I wasn't going to talk today, but when I'm hearing how you met Chuck, I just have to tell you how I met Chuck. I feel like the luckiest woman on earth, because our neighbor up on Longfellow, my friend Karen, knew Chuck from their walking around the neighborhood, and carrying the hand weights. And then after Chuck's wife passed away, he was thinking, maybe I could meet somebody else, and asking Karen if she knew anybody who was available. And so she thought of me. And so she gave him my phone number, and he called me, and we met on a blind date. But I'm liking this. And then the next day, he came pick me up to take me out to dinner, and came with not only roses for me, but a little miniature rose for my doll. I thought, okay, this is a child at heart like I am. And then I'm hearing about how he would, and I'll use the word play, he kind of didn't like that word so much, but the airplanes and the trains, and had so much of that child playful spirit, and it's just like I fell in love with him. So I had 7 best years of my life with Chuck, and I just every day I say thank you God and thank you Karen, because otherwise I wouldn't have met him. So anyways,
I would like to add too. I mean, he was one, we've been friends for a long time. He walked through the neighborhood. He always, when he was by, he'd stop in at our house and just say hi. My husband wasn't getting out very well, and so he'd stop in. He had a new helicopter he'd just gotten. And so he said, you've got to see this. So in the house he came and flew the helicopter around my house. And it was just, he was such a joy, such a dear man.
that's a dear
We will all miss him, I know.
So, okay, thank you.
You know, if Columbus had a committee, he would have never left the dock. And I think of Chuck often like that because Chuck never had a committee. He built planes freely, never asked permission. He'd throw them a couple of times. If they flew, we'd applaud. If not, then he had the committee. There was nobody in the club that was shy about going up and offering advice on how to get something to fly better. I met Chuck, and his heart was always open to me. The conversation was never about Chuck. He'd look up at me and say, how are you today, Tim? And then we'd just start talking about planes, talking about what he'd built. His home was always open. As Richard said, anybody could come. He'd talk to you, he'd help you. He was there for us. Chuck flew in this space, right here in this space. We have sky, and in the sky there's light and warmth from our sun. I think at night we're dazzled by the stars and just the depth of our universe. And I believe that in that we see the face of God, and I think soon here when we launch the plane, we will have the spirit of Chuck forever. I hope when my day comes that I can go with the grace and dignity that Chuck did. I hope that he will lend me a hand and pull me up and say, welcome to the club. I've got some stories for you. And I will listen for eternity.
I hope they have blue tape in heaven. I have Chuck's club hat. If anybody that hasn't given a donation still wants to, I'll just leave that up here. And pass it around. Chuck's in the yellow plane out there right now, ready for takeoff. And I thought if you would, we're going to recite the poem.
Thank you. I'd like to just say a word.
Oh, Ron, I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ron, and I think we all feel the same about Chuck. He was a dear friend to all of us, and many others. And though I didn't know Chuck as closely as many of you, there's a few things that I really admired about him. One was his ability as a pilot. He was an incredible pilot. He could fly anything. And the other thing that I really admired about him was his ability to get involved and help other flyers. Anytime I got a new airplane, Chuck was my go-to guy. I'd always have him take it up with the first flight and help me trim it out, and always flew beautifully. But he was a wonderful man, and we'll all miss him greatly. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Just like to say a few words. Hi, everybody. My name's Clint. I haven't met everybody here. I'm Chuck's youngest son, and just wanted to share with you guys what kind of, and you guys have all had a piece of his life, but I got to grow up with just an amazing man. Not always as kind as you guys remember, but 99% of the time, absolutely. He was a fair man. He was a loving man. He loved all of us unconditionally and tried to teach us all through life the wrongs and the rights of what to do and how to treat people. And I think he's done a wonderful job. If I have 10% of what he's got, I think that he did something right. Just wanted to give you guys some background. Some of you guys are, even if you've been in it, newbies compared to what my dad had gone through and his love for this hobby, sport, what it's turned into. A lot of you guys talk about how great he was with the electronics, and he was incredible. My wife just recently got me back into the sport, drew me back in, and now I already have half a garage full of crap. But that's how the sport goes. But a lot of that was out of necessity. He grew up as a kid doing this stuff when he was young. He built electronics for these planes. He's not like me. I'm lazy. Oh, $20? Okay, and that'll make it go? We'll do it. We even had that discussion just a few months ago when I broke my helicopter and it was a little tiny microscopic, couldn't even see it, and we can fix that. But Ted, it's $20 and I put the new part on and it's done. Oh, no, we're fixing it. Sure enough, 3, 4, 5 hands later, everybody with a soldering gun, and you pick this when I do that, he got it fixed. That's how he was. He was Mr. Fix-It with everything, relationships, life, electronics, you name it, he could do it. Just wanted to spread his love through the rest of us with you guys, and thank you for being a part of his life and helping him to be who he was and making his life happy. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Glenn.
Could I just say something from a women's point of view? Chuck would come over to see Richard, and sometimes Richard wasn't there, and he'd sit down and talk with me. And I'm sorry, you guys, but he was one of the very few men I've ever met who could actually have a real conversation with a woman about his feelings, things that happened to him that were very deep and meaningful, ask me about my life, and I loved him very much. And when he met Barb, his life just exploded with joy, and we were so happy to see that. And some people leave a very big hole in your life when they leave, and that's what Chuck did. We will always miss him and always love him.
I'm Gary Raymond, so I was part of his train world. I know Richard very well. Chuck connected me with Richard for some electronic stuff that I needed to have done, and Richard did a beautiful job. Well, I just want to echo what everyone said. He was one of my closest friends. He just was, what a gentleman. He was always the sweetest guy. He would always listen to you. I could go to him to talk about things, and I can't believe he's gone. He's really missed. I'll send a notice. I assume it's okay with Barb. We'll send a notice to Richard. We're going to have a comparable event in August for the train people, and all you guys, any of you that want to come or have interest, absolutely welcome. It'll be at the house right here, so it's close by. But I did write a little note for our train newsletter. And one of the things I said is he's one of the few people in life that really makes the world a better place. You can't say that about a lot of people, but he really graced everyone's presence with his life. So anyway.
Okay, well, I guess we're ready to have Chuck's final flight. If you would all, if you got one of these cards, if you didn't, please pick one up. Jim's going to fly the plane, and I thought we'd recite this poem while Chuck's flying. Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silver wings. Sunward I climb and join the sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit heights, hovering there, chased and shouting wings along, and flung like my eager craft through the footless halls of air. Up, along delirious burning blue, I top the windswept heights with easy grace, where no lark or even eagle flew, and while the silent, lifting mind I trod, the high, untrespassed sanity of space, without my hand, touched the face of God.
I miss you, Chuck.
Okay, Chuck, are you ready? Here he goes. Final landing. Please take some donuts and coffee. My wife won't let me bring them home.